tuning in, everyone. It's fun to see all the names on the list here of everyone on the Zoom call. And then it looks like we may have just gone live on Facebook. Is that correct, Jay?
That's
I'm
right.
watching.
We're here.
Awesome. Well, with that, I think we'll get things started. Thanks again for everyone who's tuning in today. We had a really good first virtual 1MC last week. Had some, technical glitches, but I think we really panned that out this week, so we should be good. If not, once again, thank you for being patient with us and everything with technology that's going on right now. So we are going to hear from Rina Jensen this week. She's a business resiliency coach based out of Cedar Rapids area. She's actually an organizer for the 1 Million Cups Cedar Rapids chapter. So she's kind of coming on to the other side of the region today to give us some tips on business resiliency. So thanks for joining us, Rina. I'll just go through a couple slides and then I'll pass it over to you. So as always, thank you to our sponsors, JPEC, Public Space One, Iowa City Area Development Group, and America's SBDC. And if you haven't already, meet our organizer team. You may or may not be able to see them on the side there. At least their name should be there. So shout out to all of our great organizers. And as always, we like to say sharing is caring. So if you feel compelled, please tweet, please Facebook, please share everything right now. Especially in the age of the digital times, we really want to get that reach wide so we can reach as many people as possible. I mean, it's some really good content, so it's really going to be valuable for all those tuning in. And as always, as well, we use Textful, which is a text service in order to stay up to date. We send text every week with the presenter's information. So it's a great way to understand what's going on with 1 Million Cups. And with that, I am going to officially welcome Rina Jensen, Business Resiliency Coach. Rina, do you want to kick things off?
Yeah, thanks for having me, you guys. I really appreciate it. I'm excited to be able to do this virtually with you. And show of hands, business on top, Jamie's on bottom. No hands, there's zero. I am not the only one. All right, well, so resiliency, if you are not familiar with my version of it in business, it is being able to recover quickly from a setback. And what I do as a business resiliency coach now. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. I don't have a set program or a set presentation. I really want you guys to be able to ask me questions and give you some information that will help. I'm going to try and share my screen. Here it is. This is what I want to share with you. In today's workplace, so one of the things that I've done is I am a certified facilitator for TRACOM's adaptive mindset for resiliency. And this is one of the presentations that they've provided. And as you can see in this report, it says that 69% report that work is a significant source of stress. 51% say they are less productive due to stress. 52% say that stress impacts their career decisions. And then number one, job pressure is the top cause of stress in the United States. And 6 leading causes of death, stress is linked to. The reason I share that with you is because we're even more stressed out now than we have been in recent years. Is that a fair statement? Do you guys all say that you are pretty darn stressed out right now?
Absolutely. I know I am.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yasmin's yes. Yes. So when we are in those situations, it's a really difficult time for us to focus on anything except what is causing us stress. And one of the things that you can do is take a step back. I know that's really easy to say, especially because I'm not living in your world at the moment and experiencing the levels of stress that you're experiencing. But what I can tell you is by stepping back from a situation, you have the ability to see the bigger picture or see options. I did a Facebook Live on Saturday that I'll do every Saturday from now until I don't know when. And one of the things that I had talked about in that was this, this focus. So I want you guys to all turn your cameras on. I want to see your beautiful faces.
Sorry if you have your
Thank you,
jammies on the
Ricardo,
bottom.
Sherry. What, Liz?
It's okay if you have your jammies on the bottom. We won't
It is.
judge.
I'm totally in jammies on the bottom, and you can't even see it. So, all right. So I want you guys to stick your finger out in front of you, close to the camera. I want to see that you're doing this. Okay. I don't care if it's this way or this way. It doesn't really matter. But what you're going to do is you're going to take your finger and you're going to focus on the tip of it. Okay. Are you focused on the tip of it? Yes. All right. Now I want you to stay focused on the tip of that and slowly bring your finger to your face. Okay? The closer you get to your face, what's happening?
Cross-eyed.
Cross-eyed? You have some stress in the eyeballs, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cross-eyed.
Cross-eyed, stress in the eyeballs. So what happens when we are focused so much on our finger when it's this close to our face? Not only are we cross-eyed, it's more difficult for us to see anything around us, right? So
Yes.
when we are in a stressful situation, we are experiencing that same kind of inability to see anything else that's happening. So by taking a step back, then you have the ability to see the thing that's causing you the stress and all of the options around you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I'm getting some head nods. Awesome. Do you guys have any questions so far? No questions.
No question, but you're doing a great job of doing something like this virtually. It's very hard to do interaction when you can't see anyone's responses.
Thank you. You know what makes it easy is that when I'm in a room full of people, I also don't have any problem standing in silence. So this is not that big of a leap for me. Okay, so one of the other things that I want to talk about is Darwin's Darwin's quote is, I think a bunch of people are muted.
You kind of went out there for a second, Rena, if you want to restate that question.
Sure. Do you guys know what Darwin's quote is? The most famous of Darwin's quotes?
No.
Did I still go out?
No, I don't know what the quote is. If anyone wants to comment in the comment section, you can answer there instead of verbalizing it. Yeah, we welcome that.
No guesses?
I'm out.
Okay. Darwin is quoted as saying survival of the fittest. Yes? Yes.
Yes. Right.
I remember that one.
Right. So actually, Darwin's quote is, it's not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the ones most responsive to change. And that is what being resilient is all about. The being able to adapt to change. And so when you, in your businesses, we are currently in a time of change, right? We're doing 1 million cups as a virtual thing. Some communities have not had 1 million cups from now or for the last couple of weeks, Cedar Rapids included. And we're trying to figure out the best way to navigate this. And right now we're all focused on the negative impacts because we are designed as a species to look for and react to the things that are going to cause us physical harm. Looks like my connection is unstable.
I can still hear you.
I am
clearly.
so okay, good. I can never tell. So when we take this example and we physically remove ourselves from a situation, if we're in a conflict with a person, we're having a discussion or something that we need to be able to physically remove ourselves, then we can have that conversation, but we can't physically remove ourselves from our businesses, right? It is this There may be a physical location that we are not going to right now, but it's always up here in our head. So what we can do for that is to mentally take a step back and envision the problems or the potential problems or the path forward in a different way, from a different perspective, because we're attached to what we're doing. We love what we do. And if we can't do it, that throws our whole mindset into this weird kind of, I'm going to be homeless and I'm going to lose everything that I enjoy. And that's just our brain doing a weird fight or flight and catastrophizing thought. So we take an emotional and mental step back and we position ourselves in a way that we have the ability to look at it objectively. And then we look at what is it that we want to do? What is it that we want to accomplish? And then we start focusing on that goal rather than all of the problems that we're facing in the moment. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. Yes, Nancy's got a big head nod. Do you guys have any questions so far? It was really a time for me to take a drink of my coffee.
Do you have any, like, you know, so last week we were talking about like what businesses can do like in taking that step back. So do you have any like specific tasks that you would recommend to like help with that process of like being reflective and, you know, looking at like the backwards but also forwards?
Absolutely. There's a couple of things. There's a quote that I love from Shakespeare that says, nothing is good or bad, thinking makes it so. And what that means is no matter what happens, we're the ones that decide whether an event or a process is good or bad. So we either really love change because it provides us with an opportunity to grow, or we really hate change because we're not comfortable in that growth. What the mind can do, it can also undo. And gratitude. I am a huge proponent of gratitude. And the reason is because it changes the neural pathways in our brain to program us to see the opportunities and possibilities in front of us. If we are forcing our brain to scan the previous 24 or 48 hours, then to look for those good things when we write a gratitude journal, then by default, eventually we will be looking ahead for only the good things. That's not to say that we're completely blind to the negatives or completely blind to the potential threats and downfalls, right? It's just saying that we're more inclined to see the opportunities and the possibilities rather than the obstacles and the negative.
Awesome.
Any other questions? No? Are there any questions on the Facebook, Jay?
I don't see any.
Okay. One of the other things that I want to talk about is a tree. You can laugh. I'm totally okay with that. I love humor. So when you think of a tree, how does a tree grow? Somebody tell me how a tree grows.
It's rude.
Roots. From the roots.
From the roots?
Up.
Towards the sun.
Towards the sun? Does it grow from the inside or the outside?
The inside.
The inside. Hi, Erin.
Hi.
Yes and no. So a tree grows from the adversity that it faces. When you slice a tree in half, you see the rings, right? And when the rings develop because the external world is forcing change. It's forcing the tree to adapt to its surroundings and become stronger and bigger. Interesting, right? Never knew that about a tree. I learned that recently and I was like, that's the most fascinating thing on the earth. Like, in order to make a tree grow, you have to physically cause it to expand its outside. And we have to do the same thing, except we have to be able to take responsibility for our part in our lives, because that is where empowerment really comes from. There are two buzzwords right now, empowerment and resiliency. Would you all agree with that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Empowerment comes from taking responsibility for your actions, for your thoughts, for your emotions, and it comes from being able to take a look in the mirror and say, okay, what is it that I'm doing in this situation? No one else is responsible for how you feel. So when you're in your business and you're freaking out because who knows what's happening, the only thing that you can do is look inside and say, okay, what do I have control over and where do I want to be? Sounds pretty simple, right? It's the hardest thing to do. It is the hardest thing to look in the mirror and say, okay, what is it that I can do? These kinds of thought processes and adjustments to our behavior and our emotions and our thoughts does not come naturally to us. We have to be able to work at it. We have to practice. We have to, just like we would go to the gym and start lifting weights, we don't start with a 250-pound weight. We start with a 5, 10, 15-pound weight, and we work our way up by doing reps. So those are the things that we have to remember, that this is not going to happen overnight, and that we have to look at the bigger picture, and that we have to grow from the adversity that we're facing, and use gratitude to help you do that.
How much time of every day do you dedicate to this practice, Rina? And what does that look like for you in your own business?
That's a great question. I created a planner called the Game Changer: Gratitude, Authenticity, Motivation, Empowerment, because gratitude in my business is vital for a multitude of reasons. One, because I live alone. Two, because it's just me and my business, and if I don't have the ability to connect externally, I have to be able to be strong enough internally to power through the down days or the frustrated, stress-induced whatever I'm experiencing. So all throughout the day, I will remember. I use a trigger of some kind, like every time I'm washing my hands, which is a lot more lately. I'll think of 2 or 3 things that I'm grateful for. Every time that I sit down to eat, I read a book instead of working or watching TV. There are just, and every time I look at my dogs, which is always because it's just me and the dogs. I remember to find the joy that they provide, and to be the human that they think that I am, which sounds a little quirky and nuts, but it really does give you an amazing perspective to be able to see yourself as somebody that looks up to you, sees you. And who better than the animals that give us unconditional love, right?
I'm writing all these down as notes, Rina. You're inspiring me.
Are you? Fantastic.
We'll share with
one of the other things. Say that again.
I said we'll share with everyone later all my notes that I'm taking. So
perfect. Thank you. Yes.
Rina,
one of the other things that I do. Yeah.
can you talk about the benefits of actually helping other people when you're not doing well? Does that do anything for your mood or your outlook when you're able to get outside of yourself and help others?
Absolutely. That is one of the things that I was going to say, actually. So thank you for bringing that up, Steve. Giving back. That's why so many people, when there is a crisis, come together and give to other people, because it helps us to, it does a couple of things. From an internal perspective, it allows us time to distance ourselves from our own issues, but it also really fills our soul, our provides us with an immense amount of happiness to give to other people. I don't have the scientific information behind that, but you'll notice when we had the flood of 2008, when we thought we were going to be flooded in 2016, our community came together to help other people. And the reason that we do that is because we feel better by helping other people. And when we feel better, we have the ability to see things differently and from a different perspective. Does that answer your question?
Definitely. It's what I assumed, but thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Another tactic, another tool that you can use is mindfulness. And that is like when I said that I use my dogs as a reason to be joyful, and try and see myself as I believe they see me. Being mindful allows us to really take in and be in the moment. We can't change the future. We can't predict it. And right now it's so unpredictable that even if we tried, we would probably fail pretty miserably. And we can't change the past. All we can do is focus on what is happening in front of us and take the steps that we know we can take in order to progress forward. And we have to have an idea of what going forward looks like. We have to have an idea of where we want to be. If we miss the target, that's okay. We at least know that we have actionable steps that we can take, and that starts with being in the present moment, so being mindful. The other thing is acting as if. Are you guys familiar with Amy Cuddy?
Nope.
No? Okay, so Amy Cuddy is a research scientist, and she was at the top of her game and then had an accident. And after the accident, she lost a lot of memory and capacity for, I'm not going to remember all the things, but she had to act as if. She had to pretend that she knew what she was talking about. And what she found was that if she positioned her body in such a way that was powerful to her, then she was able to exude a little bit more confidence. So you've heard about the term the power pose. Amy Cuddy is the person that brought that out. She talks about power pose. I call it the Wonder Woman pose because, we're all Wonder Women. For you guys, you've got Superman. And you just put your hands on your hips, and when you're standing, you stand with your feet hip width apart. When you're sitting, you're not sitting like this. You're sitting up, you're sitting like trying to take up space. The more space we physically take, the more confident our body tells our brain that we are. Let's see, I talked about gratitude. I talked about giving.
I
talked
do
about acting
remember
as
that
if.
person actually. Her book Presence is all about that. It's really good. She has a really good TED Talk too on everything you just said.
She does have an amazing TED Talk. That TED Talk was one of the very first things that I used in my very first talk, which is about networking in real life. And every time I give that talk, I make everybody stand up and do the power pose.
Can you link the TED Talk or get some access to that? That sounds like an interesting.
I'll post it in the comments here.
Hey, thank you, sir.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so mindfulness, acting as if, gratitude, giving, goal setting, I've kind of touched upon, but never really said that this is part of the thing about building resilience. Goal setting is the thing that gives you the target, right? It's the thing that you're shooting for. And even if you miss, it's okay if you miss. At least you're close, right? The other thing is, I'm going to share my screen again. There is a cab car, and you'll understand what I'm talking about in just a second. Okay, so cab car, when you are, I know most of us are driving Ubers now, or not driving, but riding in Ubers. But when we were in cabs, for the most part, who was in control? You or the driver of the cab?
Driver.
Okay. When you're driving your car, who is in control?
You.
My
Okay.
wife.
Yes. Whoever's driving the car is in control, right? So The cab car example shows us the purpose is to give us a point of view, perspective that we can remember all the time. So we have a challenge. The challenge is the same regardless of whether we're in the cab or in the car. The cab has automatic thinking, which is challenge, response, no thought process. That's similar to fight or flight, okay? And then we react, the behavior and the emotion. The car, on the other hand, is the challenge. We're actively thinking about it, and then we respond. So cab, challenge, response. Car, challenge, thought, response. Does that make sense to you guys? There's some chats I'm trying to see.
Everyone wants to know Amy's name.
Yes. And Ricardo said he was looking that up, so thank you. So the issue with the automatic response and the thought processes first is that we are so conditioned for millennia to automatically respond to possible threats. And way back in the day, that was mostly physical threats from predators, right? We were concerned about being eaten. We were concerned about being whatever. And so we had to be able to instantly react. That's the fight, flight. There's also freeze and appease, which I'll get to in a second. So we automatically respond. We fight or we flee. And then, or we freeze. Freezing is like, there's a bear and I'm told not to run. Therefore, I'm going to stand extremely still and hope that the bear just walks past me and pretends I don't exist. And then there's the appease, when you're in a physical confrontation with somebody and you aren't sure how to react, but you know that you need to keep them calm. That's the appeasing part. So we fight, flight, freeze, or appease. And then today, because we've morphed and we're not so concerned about physical dangers, we are now triggered by tone of voice, workplace relationships, email notifications, text messages, especially if we're in an argument with someone in our lives, right? Every time the text notification goes off, there's a little increase in our heart rate, right? So those have become our automatic responses. We have the ability to strengthen the neural pathway in our brain to not instantly react and allow ourselves an opportunity to think before we respond. And we've all heard that before. Think before you act. Our parents used to love to tell us that. Well, I should really speak for myself. My dad used to love to tell me that. So we are thinking before reacting. As we're building resiliency, that becomes easier to do. That's pretty much it. I feel like I just abruptly shut that off, but that's really the gist of how to become a resilient person. You look at the way to increase or strengthen your neural pathways so that you're not automatically responding to things. Gratitude, mindfulness, power poses, and giving. What do you guys think about all that?
I
Rina,
think
can
that's
you,
how everyone should live their lives.
Right.
Well,
Yes.
What
Yes.
about the overabundance of information that people everyone has their own little fiefdom, right? So it's a business, it's a family, it's a whatever, and they're constantly being bombarded by all this information. A lot of it is based on other people's outlooks and approaches. Is there methodologies to kind of limit that? Do you pick your sources and then just force yourself not to, or?
Yeah. Stop watching the news.
Yeah, I know. I don't.
I'm only half joking. I actually stopped watching the news probably about 4 years ago. And I have to be very discerning about what I pay attention to now. And there is a lot of information. And so the more bombarded we are, the closer we are to it. So we have this issue going on, right? And by not watching the news, we have the option of we have to go out and seek the information from our trusted source, whatever your trusted source is, and that's where you get the information from. At least that's how I do it.
Hi, can I jump in?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Vanessa Burnett. I don't have the video on, and I'm
That's
just
okay.
not going to. I'm kind
It's
of sick
fine.
today, so anyway, so my background is also resilience from Homeland Security and disasters. So this is excellent, by the way, and you're
Thank
saying
you.
stuff in a different way than I say it, but it's the same stuff. So I would add, so one of my experience areas in disasters is disaster information sharing, because there's a lot of overwhelm. And I recently wrote a blog post about this specific question. So one of the things that I did in disasters was, intelligence. So the way that we deal with in incident management, the question of information overwhelm is, I suggest, especially for this pandemic, same thing. I suggest breaking it into 3 areas, and that's the information. So it would be the situation itself, and what do you need to know about the situation? And that ties to your own sphere of influence and the actions that you may need to take. So situation is the first one. The second one is resources. What resources do you have? What resources can you access? When can they get here? How can you use them to address the situation? And the third thing is risk. And in like, I came from wildfire, so we call it fire danger or fire potential if you're on the actual incident. But there's all these other incidents, right? And so it's the risk that affects you. And when you put those things together in incident management, like the big wildfires that you see, or really any incident in the United States, those 3 factors are what we use to do all of our planning: situation, resources, and risk, or the incident potential. And that may help you discern what information is relevant for you.
That's fantastic. Vanessa, would you be willing to share your blog article?
Yes, I'll see if I can find it and stick it in the chat. If not, I will put it on the calendar invite for this on
Perfect.
Facebook.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Steve, do you have any other, does that help you to discern a little bit easier?
No question. I'm a news hog, but I keep seeing bad news out there and good news out there, and I know it's overwhelming for people.
Yeah.
Eve,
it
if your
is.
TV's broken and you need me to help fix it to get it to the right channel, you just let me know.
Oh, HGTV?
I've got a few questions. I've got 6 questions that you guys can ask yourselves, and you can ask yourself this regarding a relationship that you're in, a business relationship, whether you're dealing with a coworker, or how to, you can modify these to be towards your business and your business goals. And the first question is, how am I behaving? I'm going to go a little slow because I know Liz is taking notes. How am I behaving is the first question, because awareness comes first, right? We can't change anything if we are not aware of the issue. So how are we behaving? How am I feeling is the second one. Again, awareness. How am I perceiving this situation? Am I freaking out about it? Am I catastrophizing? Am I trying to fortune tell? What am I doing with this situation? What is important here? Is it right now? Is right now the important part, or is 5 months from now the important part? What's important? How can I learn from this? That's where growth comes in, right? And the last one is, how has my perception changed after going through the previous 5 questions? And earlier I said to take an emotional step back, a mental step back from your business. Ask yourself these questions in order to do that emotional and mental step back.
Rina, I know you do this as your professional career. Can you talk a little bit about like what your resiliency coaching entails, and if someone's interested in, working with you on that, what are the steps that they should take?
Sure. Yeah. So if someone is interested in talking with me, I do consultations, initial consultations. From now through June 30th, I have reduced my rate for, I have a one-off power hour session, and then I have an 8-session 4-month coaching package. I've reduced both of those by half because this is such an uncertain time. If you want more information about that, you can go over to rinajensen.com. And what coaching with me looks like is a lot of this personal thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. We can't change other people, even though we really want other people to change and do what we want them to do. That's not possible. So we go through a lot of what we went through here, depending on the stresses, and each person has an individual issue, right? So the tools that I use are the same. The way to apply them can be crafted and customized to each person that I work with. We are responsible for the relationships that we have in our lives. And our quality of life is greatly determined by those relationships, and how we deal with it determines how those relationships will go. So that's a little bit about me. I have been doing this for almost 3 years now. And how I got started is I was a New York Life agent for a couple of years, and I had hired 2 coaches. And both of those coaches were amazing. I learned a ton from them, but neither of them had focused on the thoughts, emotions, and behaviors that I needed to focus on. I was holding on to old stories, old belief systems, had an idea about who I was that was not congruent with who I wanted to be. And there was nobody else talking about resiliency, talking about the thoughts, emotions, and behaviors in business, and how our personal stories, our experiences are still affecting us today. It makes us who we are. And the only way that we can change our stories and change what we want to have happen in our lives is by acknowledging our own thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. So that's how I came to be. That's how I grew up, and you're all frozen. Oh, Aaron's not frozen. Okay.
I hear you.
All right, good. I keep getting this window, this little pop-up that says your internet connection is not great. So I never know.
Because
That's
everybody's
Liz's
using
fault.
it.
It happens. Yeah. It does. It does. So if you guys have any other questions for me, I am here. I am available. My email is rina@rinajensen.com, and it's RINA.
Put it in the
Anything
comments. I'm sure that spelling is right.
Oh yes, perfect.
Does anyone have any other questions for Rina before we start wrapping things up here? Nope. Well, thanks again for everyone. Oh, did you have something, Rina?
Well, I just wanted to see if anybody had a specific, if we had time or the option to do a specific. Does anyone have a specific situation, a personal situation, or a business situation that you want to ask about? Nope, I scared everybody.
I have a question. So, say for example, the people who find themselves laid off for who knows how, what would you say to someone who is in that type of situation?
Yeah. For someone in that type of situation, there are 4 foundations of fear. I'm going to start with this. The 4 foundations of fear are the unknown, that the future is unknown, that our abilities are unknown, and we are absolutely in an unknown time. The other is loss, that we will lose everything, house, spouse, livelihood. Because we're in the unknown, our minds are going to tell us that that's absolutely going to happen to us. The other one is hostility. And hostility talks about everybody is out to get us. The 4th one is being alone, that we don't have anybody to reach out to, that we don't have anybody to confide in. And what I say to those people that are in those moments of fear, and myself all the time as well, what do I know to be true? Not what do I think is going to happen? Not how do I feel about this, but what do I know to be true? What can I change? And then go through those 6 questions. How am I feeling about this? What can I do differently? How am I perceiving this? We have to be able to not focus, right? That's why we did this first exercise, because if we're focused on this and we stay like this for 20 minutes, our eyes are going to hurt. That is no different than the stress that we're going to feel in our bodies. So again, I would say to those people, do your best not to focus on the unknown and the potential loss, but focus on the possibilities and the obstacles, because you have control over what you do and how you react. And we are in a time that we are reacting from fear and we are reacting from emotion. And we need to be able to be proactive. So whatever that looks like for you, that's my suggestion.
Thank you.
So, one of the 4 foundations of fear is being alone. And I think this is a really lonely time for people. Although a lot of people are making the most out of it. And actually, we were just talking before people started joining that some of us, our social lives are even more populated right now because people are all reaching out to each other. But do you have any suggestions for how, even though it's so isolating, to still kind of build connections, maintain that sense of normalcy?
Yes. The number one aspect of resiliency is connection. And when we are isolated like this, you're absolutely right. Our brains will go into overdrive about all of the things the horrible, horrible things that are going to happen to us. So like you said, reaching out to people more, having virtual chats, planning play dates, having something to look forward to is important. And especially in business, there are 4 people that I recommend a business owner or someone that is a high level C-suite have. There are 4 relationships. One is a mentor. The mentor is the person that has the success that you want to achieve. The second one is a coach. And I'm not saying that because I'm a coach. I'm saying that because the coach is going to keep you accountable. And a coach is going to challenge your thought process. What got you here isn't going to get you there. And our thoughts have to be able to change in order to do that, right? The third one is a cheerleader. And the cheerleader is a person that's going to remind you of all of the awesome things you've done and accomplished. And then the fourth one is a friend. And that friend is the person that you can reach out to when you are feeling the weight of the entire world on your shoulders. And they're going to help you get through that. This friend is not the person that says to you, if you're an entrepreneur, go get a job. This friend is the person that says to you, okay, what's going on and how can I help you? And they're not going to judge you when you cry and you curl up in a ball and you've got the ugliest of ugly cries. That's what a friend does. So those are the 4 people that I recommend we all have. And if you have a question on any one of those, again, feel free to reach out to me.
Nancy, you're muted.
I think I got it.
we go.
Okay. Sorry, my first Zoom. I'm such a big girl.
You're
So,
doing a great
and
job.
speaking of that, so how do you think, as far as resiliency, we talked about information earlier, but what about continued education and learning? I feel like I would be much more resilient in this situation right now if I would have been somebody who embraced technology a little bit more and knew how to do some of this stuff, because I'm way down here in Tennessee trying to do business up there in the corridor from Tennessee, not knowing some of that tech stuff. So do you think that that ongoing learning really does help in resiliency, or do you think it's kind of like when we talked about information, sometimes you can have too much of it and you can't necessarily plan for what you're going to need to know because you don't know what you need to know?
I am a huge advocate for continuing education. I am a lifelong learner. I'm constantly doing all kinds of things to brush up on the skills and ideas that are relevant to me. First and foremost, though, we've never had to have this much of a need for virtual reach out connection, right? So the first thing in resiliency is to not beat yourself up over not having it. There's a lot of us that are learning this technology. I just this week, I bought the Pro Zoom package because I knew that my business was going to forever be changed with this. And so there's a lot that I'm still learning. People understand. And, if you want to figure some things out, we're all in a unique position to explode in a way that will be the most beneficial for us if we take the opportunity to do so. So if learning this kind of technology is your jam, Nancy, then by all means do it. But if it's not, there are a lot of other things that you can focus your energy on. And learning enough to help you with your business is just fine.
And this is Vanessa again. I would add one more thing, if that's okay.
Yes. Yeah, please.
So I think one thing about resilience that is really important is that it's grown and built. So you don't just go buy it, right? You have to actually grow it. So we're using it right now. We're using a lot of resilience, and there are a lot of different kinds of resilience. There's just a lot. There's financial, there's your technology, there's your community resilience, there's your personal resilience, your health resilience. Like we know from the pandemic that some people are going to have a better chance surviving with more health resilience. So we can work on strengthening and increasing our resilience, but as we draw it down. So it's not going to be a fixed thing. It's kind of not really going to be waves, but there are going to be ups and downs. Some of your areas of your life will be lower resilience right now, or you'll be using that resilience, maybe your patience. But other areas we're going to grow resilience, and we're going to realize where we can build resilience or where we need to make investments. And not just financial investments of time or other things. Obviously, a lot of people right now are stocking up. That creates one kind of resilience, but it doesn't cover all of the resilience areas. So I would just say, there's a lot of overwhelm right now, and we're pulling on our resilience. But as this goes on, we have the opportunity to grow and build more in different areas and to see where we need more. Right now, I've been looking at my own areas, like where have I been pulling resilience that I need to strengthen it? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Thank you, Vanessa. I appreciate your input, and I kind of want to connect with you.
So yeah, that'd be good. Very definitely.
Yes, awesome. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And thank you. Seriously, thank you for jumping in. Please,
yeah.
Anybody jump in. Like, this is not the Rina show. I never advocate for it to ever be the Rina show. So
I have another question. Back to what you were saying earlier about the 4 people everyone needs. how would you suggest someone starts to build that, or what sort of vetting process or even refreshing process if one of those people doesn't work well for that? How would you, I guess, what are some good pointers in how to build those relationships and keep them healthy?
Sure.
If that makes sense. I don't know what I'm trying to ask, but
Yeah. Like, how do you get a mentor and how do you find a coach specifically?
just in general, what qualities or just attributes should people look for or stay away from? Because there's a lot of people with smokes and mirrors online. For example, like I get coaching companies calling me all the time trying to sell me something. Like, any advice for people who are trying to build that support system?
Yeah, totally. So let's start with the mentor. The mentor, as I said, is the person that has the success that you want to achieve. So that's going to be specific to each person. All of these people are going to be specific to you and your needs and wants, right? So a mentor for me is someone like Brene Brown. I don't ever have to have any contact with her. She can still be my mentor because she has the success that I'd like to achieve. So if I look to her work, her output, then that will provide me with some guidance. As I said, I hired 2 coaches. The way that I chose those coaches were dependent upon what I thought I needed at the time. Now, the coach that I have talks to me about my challenges and calls me out on my shit. Excuse my language. I need that. I need someone to be like, stop making excuses and get your head out of your, and do the things that you want to do. But that's what I need. So if you want someone that is going to challenge your thinking, but in a kinder way, then you look for those features. It varies. In what kind of coaching do you want? Do you want a business coach? Do you want a health coach? Do you want gosh, what kinds of there are all kinds of coaches. Personal trainers are coaches.
Like relationship coaches.
Are you training for a physical activity? What? Say that again.
Like relationship coaches was one that is that a thing? I mean,
Yeah.
Or is that just a therapist?
No. And actually, that's a great point. There is a difference between a therapist and a coach. And Yasmin just published an article on Medium yesterday, or at least I saw it yesterday. She has a great description about the difference between a therapist and a coach. So Yasmin, if you wouldn't mind linking that in the comments as well, that would be wonderful for people to see that difference. So you have to decide what it is that you're looking for. So yes, there's a relationship coach as well. A cheerleader, again, is not someone that's going to say to you, go get a job if you can't do this, or leave your boyfriend or girlfriend or, whatever, or stay with them because it's comfortable. A cheerleader is going to look at you and say, hey, remember all of these great things that you've done already, especially when our confidence is low and we think we can't do something. That's what the cheerleader is going to help us remember. That's the other thing about gratitude, by the way. Gratitude builds confidence because it helps to overcome fear, because it shows us that we've already accomplished a lot of things. And then a friend, to determine your friend, like, you have to be able to trust them, because that is the person that you're going to be the most vulnerable with, right? That's the person that you want to be able to curl up in a ball with and just cry. And we all experience that on some level at different points in our lives. So you have to trust your gut would be the main thing that I would suggest. If someone is pushy and that doesn't work for you, don't work with that person. Don't say yes to somebody just because you think you should. Then we can talk about judgment versus discernment and boundaries. That's a whole nother 1 million cups conversation if you want to have that, guys. I hope that answers your question. You really just have to listen to your gut and ask yourself, who has your highest and best interest at heart?
And I think, and this is Vanessa again, I I think you can find those people anywhere and be, and what I'd like to suggest to people is to just be open to finding those people anywhere. I have had a cheerleader and a mentor show up through the internet over the last 2 years. Just people that I've connected with. One person actually said to me, "I will be your cheerleader." And the
That's
other person,
amazing.
yeah. So you don't know where people are going to show up from, but I've had mentors throughout my career, and so you just don't know where people will show up from. They don't all have to be people that you pay. They may just be people that you build relationships with, like in a 1 Million Cups community in the entrepreneur world. You don't know where they're going to come from, but everything she's
Absolutely.
saying about trusting your gut is perfect, and
Yes.
being open.
Yeah. And it's not always possible for people to hire a coach. All coaches have free content out there. They have something that you can use. They have things that you can follow. So if you're not in a position to hire a coach, while in the long run it may be beneficial, in the short term it may be extremely detrimental. Do the best that you can with the free content from the coaches that you enjoy, that have their stuff out there for you to use.
Awesome. Well, we have only 3 minutes left. So thanks again to Rina for this amazing virtual 1MC. Yeah, round of applause.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.